Hi everybody. Today we are going to discuss d orbital splitting in transitional metal complexes. Uh, in the last class only I have explained you, as per crystal field theory, the valency d orbitals in transitional metal complexes never be stable due to the ligand interaction towards the valency d orbital. There will be repulsive interaction will be takes place between ligand electrons or ligand charge towards the valency d electrons. The negative interaction will be there, repulsive interaction will be there, which make the d orbital to unstable, and it will further go to have the splitting. It will get in splitting to have the stability. The d orbitals will participate in splitting. So here the factors which defines the splitting pattern is two things. One is the d orbital lobes orientation, the d orbital lobes orientation. And second thing which defines the splitting pattern is ligand approach towards metal ion. So how the ligands are in what orientation the ligands are approaching towards the metal ion, and the d orbital lobes how they are arranged, how they are oriented will gives you the certain splitting pattern of d orbital in transitional metal complexes. Okay, so to know the splitting pattern, we have to initially know the how the d orbitals are oriented with respect of three coordination axes. We know that we have three coordination axes x, y, z. So with respect of x, y, z coordination axis, how the d orbitals are arranged, we have to know, by which we can define the splitting pattern in different structural transitional metal complexes, right? So here we know that d orbital is 5 degenerated orbitals, right, which means it has 5 suborbitals such as dxy, dyz, dzx, dx square minus y square, and dz square. These are the 5 orbitals. In a combinationally we will pronounce as a d orbitals, which is 5 degenerated orbital. So when we go for these 5 orbitals structure, their lobes are differently arranged, right? There will be different arrangements for the all 5 d orbitals, right? If we go for each orbital structure, we know that the d orbital is double structure. So here the double 4 lobes will be in different orientation for all these 5 orbitals, right? How far it is we have to look it into now, right? So if we consider the left to right axis as an x-axis and front to back axis as an y-axis, front to back axis you consider as a y-axis, left to right you consider as a x-axis, right? Where if we defining the xy dxy orbital, then it would be have the 4 lobes in between the coordination axis, like this. The lobes are in between the xy coordination axis, right? If we particularly go for an uh, axis coordination axis, they may looks like this, right? If particularly consider this as an left to right, you consider as an x-axis, and front to back this you consider as an y-axis, and top to bottom this is what it is as z axis. Now we are defining, if we are defining the d xy orbital lobes, right, and the xy is, x is this and y axis is this, right. So the lobes are how it is it will be have the lobes in between the xy axis. So here will be the one lobe in between of y and x, there is an one lobe here, right, and the second lobe will be here, and the third lobe will be in this area, and the fourth lobe will be here, right. On and in between of x and y axis, the four lobes will be arranged, right. This is what about the dxy orbital. Same if we are going with an yz, this you consider front to back as an y, left to right now you consider z, right. As the notebook paper is in two-dimensional structure, we have to either go this as in z, this there will be two axis projection only possible on one paper. So far I consider left to right as z and front to back as y, right. So now in this two dimensional, if we projecting dyz lobes, and those lobes also in between the in between the z and y axis, z and y axis, like this the four lobes are like this, right. So same if you are pointing the same picture here what are they, this is what z axis, top to down it is an z axis, and front to back this is as a y axis, we consider that, isn't it. Now the lobes how it will be is, the lobe will be right here in between the z and y axis, right, in between z and y axis, here one lobe, and in the down here another lobe, right, here another lobe, right. Same to that, the third lobe will be here, right, the third lobe will be here, and the fourth lobe will be here, the fourth lobe will be here, right. So that's how, the fourth lobe will be here, the third lobe will 1 2 and 3 and 4, right, here 1, here 2, here 3 and here 4, right. That's how the four lobes of dyz, okay. Same now going with an zx, right, zx. Now left right is x axis, this is you consider as a z axis. Now the same, the lobes are in between the xz coordination axis, dzx. Same when you are getting into in three-dimensional, right, if these are the coordination axis, this is what the x axis and this is what the z axis, isn't it, right. Now the lobes is how it is in between the x and z, in between the x and z. So here will be the one lobe, right, and the second lobe will be exactly down of it, right, here second, and the third will be here, right, here, and the fourth will be here, right, like that the four lobes will be for the dzx orbital, right. Now coming to left two orbitals, dx square minus y square, consider left and right as an x axis, front to back as in y axis. The lobes of this dx square minus y square will be along the coordination axis, along the x axis two lobes, along the y axis another two lobes will be there, right. So that's how the dx square minus y square, right. So here what we consider, this is as an x axis and this is as an y axis, na? Now lobes will be how it is along the x-axis one lobe and second lobe, along the y-axis third lobe, and fourth lobe is here along the y-axis, right? Like that. Along the x-axis there are two lobes, along the y-axis there are two lobes, right? So that's how the dx square minus y square orbital lobes will be there, right? Now coming to dz square orbital. Dz square orbital, this you consider z, this you consider x, and this and y, and the lobes will be two lobes of dz square along the z-axis, a spherical lobe at the middle, a spherical lobe at the middle for dz square orbital, right? Same when we are pointing here on this particular arrangement, if we are projecting the dz square orbital, this is what the z-axis, this is what we consider as the z-axis. So the two lobes, dumbbell lobes, will be here along the z, top and down. On down one lobe, on top another lobe, right? And at the middle there is one spherical, at the middle there will be one spherical, right? So that's how the dz square orbitals will be there, right? So this is how the d orbitals. And if we are going with an splitting pattern, right? And before that splitting pattern, these two orbitals are classified into two types, saying that dxy, dyz, dzx as non-axial orbitals, since the lobes of these three are in between the coordination axis. You look all these three orbitals has the lobes in between the coordination axis. Any of one lobe you consider for these three orbitals, they have in between the coordination, they are occupying the space in between the coordination axis. So far they are said to be as non-axial orbitals, where the dx square minus y square comma dz square will called as axial orbitals. Axial orbitals. Why? Because the lobes for these two, all lobes of these two are along the coordination axis. If we're going with an dx square minus y square, it has the four lobes along the coordination axis, along the x-axis 2, along the y-axis 2. Same for the dz square, along the z there are two orbitals. The spherical also occupies all three coordination axes. So far these two uh, orbitals can be considered as axial orbital. The other three of these three considered as non-axial orbitals, right? So whatever these all five, right, which are towards the orbitals which are towards the d orbitals, which towards ligand approach will get repulsive interaction, and excite their energies, will get excited and reaches to the higher energy level, right? And which are the d orbitals which are away from the ligand approach will gets into lower energy, right? They get into will never have any repulsive interaction, will gets into lower energy, right? The d orbitals, lobes which are away away from ligand approach will get stabilize and reaches to lower energy level. These newly generated, after getting d orbital splitting, the newly generated levels will be termed with an different notation, which will be called as Mulliken symbols. Will be called as Mulliken symbols. Mulliken symbols, right? If the newly degenerated level is singlet, nothing but after splitting of 5 degenerated orbitals, if one of the orbital reaches to different energy level from the all four, it is said as single degenerated, right? With the two orbitals with an same energy level existing uh, in different energy level, that would be called as doubly degenerated, right? Simply if we are projecting 1 2 3 4 5, right? If one of the orbital reaching one state, two orbital reaching 2, right, another different energy level, or three orbitals are existing in an one single level, singly grouply existing, this will be called as singly degenerated level, this will be called as doubly degenerated, this will be called as triply degenerated, right? Such singly degenerated state can be represented with either a comma b, where the a comma b are a1 a2 b1 b2, and these are also can be represented as a1g b1g a2g b2g, or a1u b1u a2u b2u, right? The u and g, right, this u and g is representing the complex structure having an inversion center of inversion or inversion center. This inversion center I is comes into the symmetry. When we know the symmetry and its uh, symmetry elements, there we will come to know what is the inversion center. So here you know that when the complex structure having inversion center, their d orbital splitting pattern having singly degenerated state will be have the notation of GRU, A1G, A2G, B2G, B1G, like that, or A1U, B1U, A2U, B2U, like that, right? Otherwise, it's simply taken as A1, A2, B1, B2, like that, right? The singly degenerated state represented with all such type of notation. If there is doubly degenerated level, it could be represented with E, right? This E can simply have E1, E2, or E1 bar, E double bar, or it can be have E1G, E1U, E2G, E2U, E2G, like this. Again, the UG are representing the complexes which having an inversion center. When the complex having inversion center, there is an UG notation will be takes place. Otherwise, you have the simple notation of E1 E2 or E1 bar E2 bar, like that. Okay. So these type of notations are used in doubly degenerated level and triply degenerated level. Triply degenerated level will be represented with T. This T will be considered as T1 or T2, or sometime T1G, T1U, T2G, T2U, right, like this. Again, the UG indicates the inversion center in metal complex. If there is no inversion center of such complex structure, you will have either T1 or T2. Simple notation of T1 or T2, right? So that's how the different notation, which are called as Mulliken symbols, used when the d orbital gets splitted into different energy levels, different degenerated state, they are represented with Mulliken symbols, right? Here I stop. By next we will going to continue the uh, splitting patterns in d orbital splitting patterns in different structural metal complexes. Okay, thank you.